Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all my dear students. Welcome back to mathematics class. Students, in the previous video, we learned about multiplication and division of fractions. Today, we are going to learn about multiplication of decimals and solve exercise 2.6. So, let us learn about multiplication of decimals and solve exercise 2.6. Exercise 2.6. Question number 1. Find. Students, in this question, we have to multiply a decimal number by whole number. Students, you have to remember that in order to multiply decimal number by a whole number, you have to multiply the two numbers as whole numbers, ignoring the decimal point. Then you have to mark the decimal point in the product from right side as many decimal places are there in the given decimal number. So, let us solve question number 1, keeping in mind the rule of multiplication of decimal by whole number. Sum number 1, 0.2 into 6. First, multiplying 2 by 6 as a whole number by ignoring the decimal point, we get 12. Now, marking the decimal point after one digit from right, as there is one decimal place in the given decimal number 0.2, we get 1.2. So, 0.2 into 6 is 1.2. Now, let us solve sum number 2, 8 into 4.6. First, multiplying 46 by 8 as a whole number by ignoring the decimal point, we get 368. Now, marking decimal point after one digit from right, as there is one decimal place in 4.6, we get 36.8. Thus, 8 into 4.6 is equal to 36.8. Now, let us solve sum number 3. 2.71 into 5. First, multiplying 271 by 5 as a whole number by ignoring the decimal point, we get 1355. Now, placing decimal point after two digits from right, as there are two decimal places in the given decimal number 2.71, we get 13.55. So, 2.75 into 5 equals to 13.55. Now, Now, let us solve sum number 5. 0.05 into 7. First, multiplying 5 by 7 as a whole number by ignoring decimal point, we get 35. Now, placing the decimal point after 2 digits from right, we get 0.35. Thus, 0.05 into 7 is 0.35. Students, solve remaining sums by yourself. Now, let us solve question number 2. Find the area of rectangle whose length is 5.7 centimeters and breadth is 3 centimeters. Students, in this question, the length and breadth of rectangle are given to us and we have to find the area of rectangle. And we know that area of rectangle equals to length into breadth. So, let us find out the area of rectangle. Area of rectangle equals to length into breadth, which is equal to 5.7 into 3. Now, multiplying 57 by 3 as a whole number by ignoring the decimal point, we get 171 and placing decimal point after 1 digit from right, we get 17.1. Therefore, area of rectangle is 17.1 square centimeters. Now, let us solve question number 3. Find. Students, in this question, we have to multiply the decimals by 10, 100 and 1000. Students, in order to multiply a decimal by 10, you have to remember that you have to shift the decimal point one place to the right. Students, in order to multiply a decimal number by 100, you have to shift the decimal point 2 places to the right. And in order to multiply a decimal by 1000, you have to shift the decimal point 3 places to the right. In short, you have to remember that to multiply a decimal number by 10, 100 or 1000, the decimal point is moved to the right as many places as the number of zeros after 1. So, let us solve question number 3. Keeping in mind the rule of multiplication of a decimal number by 10, 100 or 1000. Sum number 1, 1.3 into 10. 15 decimal point 1 place to the right as there is 1 0 over 1. We get 13. Thus, 1.3 into 10 is equal to 13. Now let us solve sum number 3, 153.7 into 10. 15 decimal point 1 place to the right, we get 1537. Thus 153.7 into 10 equals to 1537. Now let us solve sum number 5. 31.1 multiplied by 100. 15 the decimal point 2 places to the right, as there are 2 zeros after 1, we get 3110. Therefore 31.1 into 100 is equal to 3110. Now let us solve sum number 7. 3.62 into 100. 15 the decimal point 2 places to the right, we get 362. Therefore 3.62 into 100 is 362. Now let us solve sum number 9. 0.5 into 10. 15 the decimal point 1 place to the right, we get 5. Thus 0.5 into 10 is equal to 5. Now let us solve sum number 10. 0.08 multiplied by 10. 15 the decimal point 1 place to the right, we get 0.8. Therefore 0.08 multiplied by 10 is 0.8. Now let us solve sum number 11. 0.9 into 100. 15 the decimal point 2 places to the right, we get 90. Thus 0.9 into 100 equals to 90. Now let us solve sum number 12. 0.03 into 1000. 15 the decimal point 3 places to the right, we get 30. Thus 0.03 into 1000 is equal to 30. Student, solve remaining sums by yourself. Now let us solve question number 4. A two-wheeler covers a distance of 55.3 kilometers in 1 liter of petrol. How much distance will it cover in 10 liters of petrol? Students, in this question, it is given to us that in 1 liter of petrol, a two-wheeler covers 55.3 kilometers distance, and we have to find out the total distance it will cover in 10 liters of petrol. Students, so in order to find out the total distance covered by a two-wheeler, In 10 liters of petrol, we have to multiply the given numbers. As we know that when we want to find the cost of more than one thing or object, then we have to multiply. So let us solve question number 4 and find the total distance covered by a two-wheeler in 10 liters of petrol, and also write the statement. 1 liter equals to 55.3 kilometers. Therefore, 10 liters equals to how much? By cross multiplying, we get 55.3 multiplied by 10 upon 1. Now, shifting the decimal point to the right one place. As we know that in order to multiply a decimal number by 10, we have to shift the decimal point one place to the right. Thus, shifting the decimal point one place to the right, we get 553, and dividing 553 by 1, we get 553 kilometers. So, in 10 liters of petrol, a two-wheeler will cover 553 kilometers. Now, let us solve question number 5. Find. Students, in this question, we have to multiply a decimal number by a decimal. Students, in order to multiply a decimal by a decimal, you have to remember that you have to multiply the two decimals without the decimal point, just like whole numbers. Then you have to mark the decimal point in the product after as many places from the right as the sum of the decimal places in the multiplicand and multiplier. So now let us solve question number 5, keeping in mind the rules of multiplication of decimal by decimal. Sum number 1, 2.5 into 0.3. First, multiplying 25 with 3 as whole number by ignoring the decimal point in both the given numbers, we get 75. Now, counting the decimal place to the right in the given decimal number 2.5, we get 1. Also, counting decimal place in another given decimal number 0.3, we get 1. Now, finding the sum of decimal places in the multiplier 2.5 and multiplicand 0.3, we get 2. Since 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Now, placing the decimal point in the product 75 after 2 digits from the right, we get 0.75. Therefore, 2.5 into 0.3 is equal to 0.75. Now, let us solve sum number 5. 0.5 into 0.05. First, multiplying 5 with 5 as whole number. By ignoring the decimal point, we get 25. Now, counting the decimal place in 0.5 from right, we get 1. Also, counting the decimal place in 0.05 from right, we get 2. Now, finding the sum of decimal places in 0.5 and 0.05, we get 3. Since 1 plus 2 equals to 3. Now, marking the decimal point after 3 digits in the product 25, we get 0.025. Therefore, 0.5 into 0.05 is 0.025. Students, note that we get the product 25, which is 2-digit number. But we have to place the decimal point after 3 digits and not after the 2 digits from right, as the sum of decimal places in the product is 3. So, we wrote 0 in 10th place. Thereby, we get 0.025 and not 0.25. Students, so be alert in marking the decimal point in the product you obtain. Otherwise, you will get incorrect answer. Now, let us solve sum number 5. 101.01 into 0.01. First, multiplying 10,101 by 1 as whole number. By ignoring the decimal point, we get 10,101. Now, counting the decimal places from right, in 101.01, we get 2. Also counting the decimal places from right, in 0.01, we get 2. Now, adding the decimal places of both the given decimals 101.01 and 0.01, we get 4. Since 2 plus 2 equals to 4. Now, marking the decimal point after 4 digits from right in the product 10,101, we get 1.0101. Therefore, 101.01 into 0.01 is 1.0101. Students, solve remaining sums by yourself.